Welcome back, guys. The first story was published by Clayton. My dad buries bodies. I was in kindergarten when it happened. I watched from my bedroom window as my dad dragged my mom's limp body into the woods behind our house, dug a shallow grave, and buried her. I remember him calling 911 and concocting a story about her going missing. I'll never forget how masterfully he handled the police questioning at our home that day, perfectly reciting his phony recollection of events, crying at the right moments, and angrily demanding that the officers bring his wife home. Time passed, and my mom's case grew cold, eventually becoming an afterthought. Dad went on with life parenting my sister and I, and things were normal, until it happened again. I staggered out to the back porch one night to witness my dad carrying the lifeless body of my neighbor into the woods. Just like my mom, he dug a shallow grave and proceeded to bury him. Once again, he dealt with the police with ease when suspicion arose against him. I remember him making eye contact with me as he walked the cops to the door, an unspoken understanding to remain silent about the situation. Life moved forward and things were quiet at home until it happened again. I stood in the backyard and watched silently as my dad carried my sister's body out of the house and towards the woods. All of a sudden, he paused, laid my sister on the ground, and turned to look at me. We stood facing each other in complete silence, unsure of what to say or do next. After what seems like an eternity, a weeping voice broke the stalemate.
I can't keep silent about this. I'm sorry. When the police come, I'm going to tell them the truth. Do you really think they're going to believe that a child did it? Grab a shovel and get digging.
This father buries bodies for his son and then lies to cover it up. Now that's dedication to your family. The next story was posted by Goose Season. HDMI 2 not connecting. I always knew I lived to see the apocalypse. And we, the wife and I, that is, you remember her, we did it right. Property, livestock, solar, ammo, the works. We planned everything except for the one thing we couldn't. The great equalizer and take off us all. Old age. Now, you're a pandemic baby, too young to remember this, but when it first started, everyone put on a good show, in it together and all that. But the truth, the real, gritty, deep down truth of it all, goodwill, can only last so long. Eventually, people get tired of being in it together, or in it at all, really. Time went on, and they, government and society, that is, decided that we old folks cannot contribute everything worth saving. They cut us off and waited for us to die, like tumors or gangrenous limbs who outlived their usefulness. Marley and I are all we need. We're ready to bunker down and die of old age together. But you little, you can't help but take. You do not want to work, so you come here and take our food, our water, our equipment, our medicine. You see that my body is failing and that I can't do squat to stop you. So you keep coming again and again to take everything I got. And then you have the nerve to take her. We have been together since we were 16, and you blow her brains out in front of me. You'll never know the loss like that, kid. Even with everything I'm about to do to you, you will never know loss like that. So you know what? You can have it. The whole homestead. None of it does me good anyway. I only have one appetite left. Enjoy it while it lasts, kid. I'll get what I need from you in return.
I need to get out of here, but I think I broke my leg. Shucks. Still, I have to do something. The old man, well, the thing that used to be an old man, is grunting at me from the edge of the pit. If he falls in here, it's game over. He'll rip my throat out. Just like his wife did to Riley before we put her down. I hate these things. Surprisingly, there's lots down here I can use. It's almost comforting, even. A bed, running water, emergency supplies, even a powered TV. HDMI 2 not connecting, just bounce around on the screen. But I can work on it in no time. So weird though. If I don't know any better, I'd think it was a trap.
I like this story. To add some context to it, the comment trends below explains it nicely. Loving but different says, "Is this like a zombie switch? I like it." In response, Kira says, "I wonder if pandemic babies have just never seen old people. Like they think the elderlies are zombies." But then it does say the wife ripped someone's throat out. Jonathan the nerd responds, "My theory is that the old guy doesn't realize he's a zombie, or just doesn't care, and the young people didn't realize zombies are capable of rational thoughts." And then OP responded, "That is exactly what I was going for." This was posted by Brogalog Hatchling. I have to say, after watching her delicate frame in action, I have to rate my server's hatch-wheeling skills 11 out of 10. Super highly satisfying. I just wish she hadn't used them on my best bud, John. Unfortunately, John didn't follow the #1 law of the new pandemic, the great hatching, or whatever you prefer to call it. Never be alone. That's when the lava crawls inside. We had to learn that lesson the hard way. When the pandemic first broke out, the government was like, quarantine, quarantine. It took 6 years of failed vaccine, food shortages, riots, raving death squads, and a new world order before it stuck. I couldn't tell you where John picked up the infection, but I have a suspicion it was at the gym. In a pandemic where the #1 symptom of infection was excessive sweating, I'm surprised that he kept any of them open. On our way over to our favorite chain restaurant, John had complained of a slight headache, though he said he was still good to share some loaded nachos and jalapeno peppers. Fortunately, our friend Mercy had some ibuprofen. Our server's name was Madison. She stuck 5 of us into a corner booth, with John seated on the end of one side opposite me. Our 3 lady friends sat between us. The promised appetizers were ordered. 20 minutes later, as we were sipping our drinks and waiting for our food, John began fading fast. First, he put his head in his hands and began massaging his forehead, and then he moaned,
"Oh man, it hurts. Ugh."
A few seconds later, I noticed a thick, yellow pus-like substance leaking from his mouth and splattering on the table. My heart was pounding. The girls noticed and we all knew what was about to happen. All that anti-hatchling training we recently received was fresh in our minds, but we froze with indecision. John began pounding on the table, knocking over his drink and vomiting a large, clear, white fluid. It flowed all over the tables into our laps. That's what started Mercy's screaming. But there she was, our savior, Madison. I think she weighed a total of 100 pounds, not including the requisite hatchet slung by her side. She daftly lowered the enormous platter of food she was carrying on the vacant table, and as John's throat literally exploded outwards, revealing the thing's grayish-blue face in a jagged, bloody remains. It screeched as it drew its first breath of oxygen, stretching open the hole with its sharp claws and dragging its slimy self into the world. It didn't get far. Madison, like a trained ninja, twirled her standard issue hatchet over her head, emitting a bloodthirsty battle cry worthy of Genghis Khan, and brought down the gleaming silver hatchet upon the newborn's hatchling fang face. Blood and guts spurt everywhere. The nachos, although they were eating in sadness, were absolutely amazing. In the comments, 12 Aldoy34 says, "I have always said that Madison was underpaid." OP responded, "Underpaid, overwork, but always professional." As we are all facing our own personal pandemic, remember, remain professional, remain safe, because this might just be practice for the real thing. And remember, have a nightmarish night.